You guys are incorrect. It's not gonna drift away from comics today at all, okay? Because it's a critique stream. Gotta judge all of you. We're doing our long form critique day. Ursula was like, "Oh no, it's okay, little kids. We can shuffle around." And um, Grumpy Old Man Bones was like, "No, no shifting around. It's long form day. I don't want to work tomorrow. Sunday? Saturday. That's what it's called." Hello, how is everyone? If you don't know what the critique stream is, it's basically a stream where I ruin everyone's dreams by telling them that their stories are bad. You too can have your life ruined by paying $8 on Patreon and submitting your writing. Well, I guess you can't do that this month because deadline has passed. However, next month, August, if you want your... Yeah, come at me. Ursula won't ruin your life. She'll be nice to you if you want to submit art. Hi. So we got Chorls, we got Firewind, we got a Zed, we got Natalya. Okay, we got everyone. I actually have... Whoa, chill out, PC. I actually have the stories opened for once. I'm really good. I'm incredibly good at storying. So who wants to go first? Who would like to go first? Oh man, there's even less than I thought because I have Twitter open in one of my tabs. Just vibing, wondering how I've been. AZ can go. All right, that sounds good. AZ chapter 17. Wow, I've read many words of. Oh well, I'm doing AZ first. I can do Ravioli next. Is that Ravioli, or am I being dyslexic? Either way, so a lot of the usual stuff, like I like all your characters and stuff, and I always like the interactions. It's very good. interesting seeing a little more backstory on Dez. Um, yeah, it was kind of short, wasn't it, this week? Or month? Yeah, this month. Um, but all the scenes were really strong. Like, I kind of forget what happened in the last chapter, so like what led into this. Um, at the end, you were asking like, or you were considering whether or not to like have just like a whole bunch of backstory go on for a long time and then go back to the main thing. Um, or whether or not to like intersperse it or just not have it. Um, like it's hard to say whether or not like the stuff is like important or not. It's like good and I like it, and I always like flashbacks. Like I'm way too into those. Like I am biased towards flashbacks. I would say not to do the entire info dump flashback of every single scene that you wrote out at the end there. I think it would be better to intersperse them as needed and to reflect the situations. Um, especially because the way that you have. Oh my god, can I have a glass of water, Scylla? Yay. Um, especially the scenes that you have written, they have an arc to them. I don't think this current flashback will take more than a chapter or two. There's going to be different flashbacks later. Yeah, like there's like a really good arc to all of your flashbacks, so I would treat it um personally I would treat it like a B plot um or a non-related kind of plot where you follow the you follow along at the same pace as the rest of the story. Like you try and line up the the emotional arcs with like the present day with the past day. That can be really useful, especially if there is such like a strong arc for your flashback, as opposed to just like having flashbacks that really like accent things and give extra information. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. Um but like everything that you've listed out as far as flashbacks go seems really. I'm gonna grab a toucan to focus. Yeah, this flashback is gonna be relevant to what comes next. Yeah, like I can tell. Yeah, like I would definitely like go back to the main story because there wasn't really like a big setup for it to be a long flashback. It's gonna give context. Whoa, whoa, she's coming at me. To the way Dez is feeling in scenes after. Yeah, I did like that. Like, I feel like I learned a lot more about Dez in this. I felt a lot more connected to him than I have previously. I think, yeah, like I think I've mentioned this before, where I feel like we know a lot about Gil, and I really understand like all the things of like how he works. Whereas like getting into Dez would be pretty interesting. Um, and I did feel more connected, which is good. Um, I figure like in your final draft you might want to move things around, but I wouldn't even know what that looks like at this point, and if you haven't finished it, like I wouldn't worry about figuring it out. Because because I don't really know what the state of your draft is looking right now. Oh, thanks for becoming a member. Do you think that this background came at a good time, or should I add more stuff earlier? Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking, is that um if you want to do if you want to go along these flashbacks, like, I think you could do some earlier ones that would give more context to Des earlier on, um, to lead into these kind of things. Because I think this specific flashback of him, like, arriving, like, it feels like we're kind of starting in the middle of a story, which is a little... It does feel like you might... It might be useful to have, like, an even earlier flashback earlier on. That, or you start here. But right now, it just feels kind of like starting a new, pretty central plot arc in the middle of your story. Yeah, Gil's gotten more flashbacks, but they've been shorter, whereas this flashback is longer. But it's the only one Des has gotten. Yeah, I think that's what kind of makes it feel a little, like, off kilter. Like, I think balancing that out might be helpful. Like, I'd have to really pay attention to, like, the whole story, but yeah, that's kind of the sense that I get from the way that I've been reading things. But yeah, I liked it. It's I'm trying to think of more things to say, but it was kind of, like, short, and it was mostly I had thoughts about, like, the flashback format, because it feels going off to the side. You know what it kind of... You know what? I don't know if this is actually a good comp or not, but when you went into the flashbacks, it just made me think, like, this big flashback, it made me think of Oh Human Star, which is a good comic, and they swap into, like, a flashback, and, like, in my brain that's how it happened. Like, everything goes from monochrome blue to monochrome orange. I haven't been keeping up with Oh Human Star, so I don't know how good of a comp this is at all. It's very sci-fi, but yeah. It's a good comic either way. You like my shirt? I like skulls. Yes, it's true. Do you have any more, like, questions, like, that I can help with here? Um, bum 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 bum. Doop a doop a doo. Hey, Sammy. That's all I wanted to know, I think. Alright, I'll move on to Ravioli. You still here, Ravioli? Ravioli gave me the farmioli. No problem. It's always a pleasure. Yo, Sammy! Oi. Samuel. Yeah? Okay, we got Ravioli. Yeah, AZ sucks. It's garbage. Never write again. I don't want to read any of that. Ravioli is filled with cream or potato. Wait, cheese. I was like cream. Oh, wait, that's pierogi. Only Ursula can say it, at least. Okay, wait. Ravioli. Okay, yeah, you gave me something short too. So you were working on this outline, I believe, for a thing, but you don't have an artist anymore. So I'm very sorry to hear about your artist problems. I hope you can find an artist and work on this comic. I'm kind of terrible at giving opinions on outlines, so I'll try my best. Um, so yeah, and this was a really really what would it be like high concept outline where there's not so much of the play by play for me to like look into. It's kind of ill-fated now. Um well, I would say that it's very creative. Um like reading the concept, I think that you created a story that has a really interesting kind of inherent conflict going on. Um and you have a setup that is pretty good for slice of life, but also with a lot more like action and whatnot going on. Um, I it's hard to say if this is just because it's an outline or not, but there's like some parts of it that are kind of confusing to me, or like I don't know how much of it is supposed to be comedic or how much of it is supposed to be kind of taken super seriously or not. Um like I find it really funny that you have this deity, um this failure deity, like going to college with two of its creations, and like that's kind of like an inherently funny setup. I don't quite understand I don't quite understand like the reasoning behind like why they would do that entirely. Like I get that they've fallen in love with it, but like why go to college? Like are they in college with them? Like chooses college setting, introduces conflict. Like I don't quite understand like the relationship just from like looking at it from so far away. Um Sorry. Yeah. Do you have like specific things like you'd want like me to talk about in this? A bit of context. This was a joke with a couple of friends that was stretched into 5 pages of outline. Yeah, like I think given that, I think you did a good job like stretching the joke out. I guess like when you do have a concept like that, it's good to kind of pick whether or not you're going to go full in on the joke or if you're going to play it seriously, because I think it kind of straddles it a bit here too much, just from what I'm gathering from the outline. Because, yeah, I do get kind of a sense that it's not quite one way or the other, which um, can sometimes be to, like, the detriment of the comic. Like, by all means, like, nothing should be, like, serious 24/7. Like, that's how you make something really boring. Um, but there's, like, a little too much contrast here. But not in... Yeah. It's supposed to be a way for him to keep an eye on them, seeing if they can live normal lives, is why he follows them through school. Oh, okay. Does he play, like, is he, like, student as well with them, or does he take like on a different kind of role here? That's kind of my style, is taking little jokes way too seriously and drawing them out. No, that's fine. I do that kind of stuff too. I think you can get really interesting stuff out of playing something serious that was meant to be silly. Or vice versa. Yeah. Cause yeah, it's either yeah, it's just very hard for me to like critique an outline, I guess. He kind of takes the opportunity to live for himself too, seeing what human concepts like childhood and education are like. Okay. Yeah. Like, I think it's a good concept, like, to continue fleshing out and turning into a script or something. And see how it goes, but I don't know whether or not, like, this is something you want to keep pursuing. It's all up to you in the end. And, like, regardless of if you have an artist, like, working on scripts is good. Good practice. Bones' entire art style is memes. It is very much so. Yeah. I'm sorry I don't have, like, tons to say about it. It is just very... Since it's not, like, the entire outline either, like, it's hard to... Like, I don't even know where it goes at the end, so... Completely different comic next month. I just told my artist I put it in and wanted to follow through on that. Well, that's awesome. Like... I'm excited to see what you submit next month. Too squishy for this idea? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll let you ask any questions, but who wants to go, like, after this? Shows brother the beauty of his creation. Okay. Yeah, like I think your conflict is pretty solid like that, because you start it with a very strong, was it high concept of like the two brothers. They're kind of like inherently opposed, so you have a very good like arc to go on with that. Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult from a outline to look through. Firewind wants to go next, I guess. Okay. I'll do all of my script critiques first, and then Ursula can finish off with her things, right, Ursula? Yeah, little thumbs up in the background. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. No problem. I mean, you paid to be here. I wanna give you bang for your buck. Mine hopefully reviewed by both Ursula and Bones. Okay, yeah, yours is open. Right. Okay. I will say, Farwind, that I am... Because I've read chapter 2 so many times at this point, I'm getting really... I'm getting really in the weeds with it too, where it's kind of hard for me to like give a really good critique, because I've read it so many times that I'm not really having the typical like experience. Like, I'm getting more of that like writer's look at it, where it's hard to look at it objectively, and kind of more difficult for me because I don't know what happens next. So it would be helpful to like look at other chapters going forward if possible. Like I understand that you're working really hard on this one. Like I by no like I know you're having like like you're doing good improvements and stuff. It's just I think I can offer like more help if I see more of the story going forward. So like basically what I'm saying is I'm going to give you a bunch of like advice, um but I kind of want to see it like moving forward-ish, I guess, if that's fair. Um like I would say even with the add-on to the beginning it doesn't really help. Okay, I it's all very different too, but it's not so much of a difference that I can give really great like fresh advice looking at it. Like like I have opinions on like the stuff that you've changed and how this chapter reads because I do think it's gotten a lot better. But like I also can't tell for sure because I've looked at it so much. Um like reading it this time, like how the current draft of chapter 2 is looking, it gave me a lot more of the vibes that I got like earlier on in your story reading it, where I found um that it was kind of feeling more like mysterious but not so overwhelming. And I'm not entirely sure if that's because of like the additions to the story or because I've read it so many times that I'm now like becoming a bit more versed in what's going on. Like it's hard for me to say which is which. Um like you do a really good job at creating a mood and creating intrigue. Especially when you're not doing the very long um descriptions of how things work. Um I think I think that um the additions to the story, like more lead in that you've added, um put me back into like following the characters of the story, which I think was kind of helpful, like following like Ariana and getting some more like character focused aspects of it, of like how she's dealing with things, so that when the big descriptions were going on they weren't so overwhelming. I didn't fully pay attention to them as much as you might like me to, but they didn't take up like the entire focus, so that was helpful. um um and by the time that we got to um the magic being banned, um because we were more connected with a specific character, I did feel like or like I guess because we were more connected with like her following through the scene, um because of that, like it felt more impactful than when I read it before. I wonder what's lagging for you. Fresh new content. I hope you can hear. But I think like that mysterious feeling that you give. I think you have a pretty good I think you have like a kind of natural way of talking about your world when your characters are just interacting. Um which kind of like leads you to feel like you're connected to the world. Like them discussing like um buying servants or whatever of like different species. I think that was really like strong world building. Yeah, like I don't expect everyone to follow everything from like the paragraphs of detail. But it was a little more easy to like get a grasp on, because like the main takeaway I got from that is that there's arcane magic and it is being banned. And I think that's kind of the gist of the scene. And everything else is kind of window dressing to that. So I'd be careful going forward where if you need to rely on information outside of that, make sure to reiterate. I think reiterating will be a really good friend to you going forward. Um, and I think you really shine when you do things kind of naturalistically. I think you I think that when you're trying to do these big explanations, um that's kind of a weak point in your writing, where where it's like I understand what you're trying to do, but I find that your descriptions get really muddied and it's really hard to like understand like what the concept is that you're trying to like get across. It's specifically when you're talking in these very long paragraphs about how the world works, because your characters will describe things and then you'll occasionally put in your like, this is basically what it means. And what you mean is really cool, but the way that it's told needs to be um a little more plain English, a little bit. It's hard to balance it, but like in those big descriptions, like I think that's like a part of your writing like you can work on, because there's a lot of flowery language that that doesn't really have really succinct meanings, um or at least meanings that like a reader can grasp on as quickly. Yeah, I'm hoping the visuals will help. Yes, visuals will definitely help, but I would say that this is something uh that you can work on in your writing, is getting concepts across through large amounts of dialogue while somehow not making it boring and also somehow making it understandable is hard. Like, it's a hard thing to do. And another hard thing to do is getting world building across through naturalistic dialogue, which you do pretty well off the bat, and you have great character interaction. Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. Um when you yeah, you use a lot of really I feel like this is just very nitty-gritty weird complaints. But you use a lot of multiple syllable words. Like, what is it? Yeah, I think it's this, like this sort of language. The overindulgence of any magic siphoned from Zarian is proven to lead to insanity. Like, it's a really easy thing to kind of understand, but there's just a lot of very powerful words that like there's certain words that are like showstopper words that will like take the reins of of a sentence and just like go ham on them, right? Because like overindulgence and siphoned are such like big money words on top of like your fantasy words like Zarian. Like that's kind of where it gets all muddied. And they're very long sentences too. Works ages. Yeah. Oh my god, Nightbot, chill out. I hope that's helpful. Like this is I feel weird talking about like just like sentences. Yeah. It's unnecessarily over dramatic. It's it's just a lot. Like I think you can get the drama of like these amazing words, but sometimes you have to say goodbye to one. You know? Like I like the word defenestrate, but like you got to save it for like a good moment. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably an order of information thing. That's difficult to learn. Practicing prose helps with that, I guess. Probably. Man, you gave me a whole topic to think about because I've never actually talked about this. Hmm. But yeah, that would be my critiques on things. I appreciate it. No, it's perfectly fine. I like it. I like reading what you got here. I think it's a really cool world, and I'm excited to see more of it. You know, I want to be as helpful as I can be. So yeah, moving forward, those are kind of like the things I'd focus on in your writing. Is some more clarity, more succinctness in these big description-y type sections to give it that same punch as your normal conversation as well. Yeah. Um and yeah, go forward. Make sure to reiterate on what you need to get things across with or whatever and be all mysterious and cool and it'll be a great time. Okay. That leaves me with Mouth's one and the other one. Right. Okay. Um so what's who made the one? Who's the other person? Natalya? Yeah, that's it. Nat. Right, Nat. Okay, Nat's thing I read. Um again, I find your story is really cool, interesting. I like your characters. I'm really like I'm really going like, what's with this bird? That's really interesting plot stuff going on. Um, I want to know where this goes. Um, like you're setting up something pretty interesting here. Um, I don't have a lot to say because when I was reading this, I don't think it was as strong as your previous as far as the writing goes, but I'm not sure if it's specifically the writing or not. I think that the visual storytelling on this was kind of off a little bit for me. Like, the broader scope of the story is really cool, and you have some moments that are really interesting. Like the scene with the bird getting her to sign up for the thing, like, had me like, oh dear, like, what's going on? So cool. Um like, that was really easy to follow, but I found a lot of interacting with the other characters was difficult. Um like, one specific time was she was talking to a character who was off screen, who hadn't even shown up. It was, what page is it? It was on page, yeah, between page 2 and 3. Someone says Alia, and then Alia keeps talking, and then suddenly there's like a person in there that I didn't know was there. Like, they never got introduced. And there was a lot of that kind of stuff that was difficult to follow, which I think made it difficult for me to follow like aspects of the story. So I think Ursula will give you a lot better advice than I will. Ursula, do you agree? Yeah. So I'm going to leave it to her mostly because, like, I think your writing is fine. I think it's the way that it's being told visually that might be the issue here. So, yes, I will move to Mouth. I know that Mouth couldn't be here, and Ursula was like, it's okay, Mouth, you can whatever. But I was mean, and I said, I'm gonna talk about Mouth anyways. But Mouth is allowed to DM me and ask questions. Oh, there's a page missing. Well, that would explain a lot as far as the writing goes. Well, there you go. Okay, I'll go on to Mouths. Because like even then I don't have a lot to say. Right. Mouth. What was my opinions on, guys, what were my opinions on Mouth's story? Um oh, this one's hard because I liked it. I think that I'm speaking to Mouth with my mouth. I think you did a really good job updating chapter 1 and bringing everything together. Like, I think I think this was really good. I like that you changed it to them riding in on longhorns. Like, that's really good. It's tying it all together. It felt a lot more like um Emma and Hayes were part of this world, rather than just kind of popping into it and not being interested in it. Like, they felt a lot more connected to the story, which I thought was really good. Um and the build of conflict was a lot better because of that. And now I can kind of see like how they like will be intertwined within the story, which is awesome. Uh and I can definitely tell, like, reading these two stories, not sorry, these two chapters, that the two pairs are different. Um you still have the kind of quirky, fun vibe to it, but it's a little less just pulling random things out of a hat and going with them. Like, I like how everyone is some sort of fantasy being. Like, that's fun. That's good. I like the meme I don't know why I'm calling it a meme, but I like when they're like, oh yeah, of course he can use I don't know, they can use portals, like, because they're a unicorn, duh, and we just go with it. And that's funny and fine. Like, I think that's a good way to set up that power, too. Um, in kind of like a inconsequential, but still consequential moment in a silly way. I think you did that before, but, like, I think because everything is a lot more tighter as far as the story goes, like, I think it was even more fun, I guess. Um I think the vampire scene with Holt and Maddox, like when they go in and find the vampires, like I think the lead-in was better. I think it's hard to remember. Like I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day with some of these stories, but I think it was a lot better lead-in. It still kind of felt fast when they meet McKay. McKay, thank you. Um, how do they escape? I forget. Sorry. Or do they not meet him? Oh man, I forget. I'm sorry, I'm rereading it. I've read a lot of stories today. Vampire. Where's the They go to the vampire place. They do, don't they? Either way, like I like that it's set up that the vampires are like I like I like the setup of how there's gonna be the cow festival, and I also like the conflict being set up in the next chapter with the vampires going to ruin it. And my main complaint is that I would like to see a new chapter. So like that's what I want. I want to go forward. I want to see what happens next. I'm done with I'm done with I'm done with chapter 2. That's this entire stream is me being done with reading chapter 2s. Um yeah. So that's that. I'm done. I think I'm done. Ursula, I'm done. I want to go home. I want to go home. I'm done.
Yep, varmint. Goodness. Okay. Ugh. He sets it up all weird. My gosh. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So, I need a hot minute to fix all the things. Oh, he's going. Go. Good. Goodbye. He's a cat, guys. Bones is a cat confirmed. My god. This man that I live with. This roommate of mine. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just opening the art so that I can show things. Okay. So I don't think I'll open all of them. There's a lot of pages. So I'll just open an example of each. I think that might be the easiest. Okay. What's this feral?
You have a boat.
You are in a boat. Just two friends in a boat.
Beetle. Beetle, come join us in the boat. Come to the boat. Three friends in a boat.
Okay. Do I know the next deadline for the critique? If you want to have an illustration or like a single page or like a character design critiqued, you need to sign up by tomorrow and get your stuff in on the Discord by tomorrow. Because that's when we're doing our like short form critiques, which are like not large collection of pages or scripts or anything. And if you want your script or like a long form thing submitted, then you need to sign up and get your work in whenever, and it'll be looked at next month. Three friends chilling. Okay, don't worry, Firewind, you didn't miss anything. I have not gone into anything yet. Okay. Who would like to go first? Do you know where to sign up? You can sign up on our Patreon, and that'll give you access to the Discord channel. So there should be a link to our Patreon down below. Sorry, I'm signing into Discord so I can get all of the pages.
Three friends chilling in a hot tub.
Sorry, just getting things open. Don't mind me. Okay. Cool. I know, poor Madoka and her cone. You wanna go, Nat? Okay. So if I go to YouTube art. Yes, okay. Okay. So looking at your art, so Bones and I. Oh, IDEC wanted to go first? Oh, shoot. Okay. My bad. So yeah, so IDEC, my friend. So going through your pages that you submitted, I really like what you did with the color. I picked this page in particular because I really liked the color stuff you did with all of the like Pokemon fight scenes where you have this like gradient in the background. I love the use of like the little lines. You've done a great job with all the sound effects. Where they're just really cool looking, they're really integrated well. And yeah, I think whenever you bring color into this comic, I feel like it really shines. You've got like a really bright color palette. Everything feels really energetic, and it brings a lot of life to it. I think one thing I noticed that like you can see it here on this page where you've got like for I guess like non-battle scenes and just certain panels, you had just like a gray background going on, and like kind of non-important objects are in grayscale, which is interesting. I think here's the thing: if you continue with it, I think it's fine, especially if it makes it easier for you to complete the comic. I just think because you use color so well, I would love to see the thing in full color. But if that's too much, then don't listen to me. But I just really like your work with color, so I'd love to see more of it. I think it's really where your stuff can shine. I think looking through it, I think what was I thinking earlier? It's like looking through the oh my goodness. All the characters in Pokemon are gonna be colored. That's fair. Yeah, I find generally like your compositions work really well. I find your kind of sketch slash thumbnail stuff is very flat in comparison to your final drawings, which isn't a bad thing because you always come out with these very dynamic images from what you've seen. But what I mean to say is like it's a little bit hard to tell how dynamic some of your paneling is going to be, because in the thumbnail stage it feels very flat, but then whenever you show me like a completed page, I'm like, oh wow, this is really dynamic. I did notice, however, reading through it, I think you could take more opportunity to merge some of your panels. I find you tend to do each panel has like one line of dialogue. There's a couple of exceptions, like where like yeah, there's obviously a couple panels where you'll have like two characters speaking and they'll be on the same panel, and you'll have like more than one speech bubble in a panel. But I think you could take more opportunities to use less panels and combine some panels. Because I know you were worried about pacing. I didn't find the pacing too bad. It felt like it flowed pretty well. But I think you could benefit from in the future merging some panels, if that makes sense. Umbella and Shmaro, we are critiquing comics of our Patreon supporters. So yeah, I think just merging some panels could help, because you use a lot of small panels, a lot of like one piece of dialogue per panel, and I think you could mix it up a little bit more. Yeah, it also saves you time because then you don't have to draw as much because it's merged. um, but yeah, everything flowed really well. I liked the arc of like the mom doubting him and him getting his ass kicked in the forest. I thought the story flows really well. Um, and I'm excited to see more. Um, did you have any questions or anything I didn't cover? Um, anything you wanted to know? I don't think about it too much in the thumbnail phase, so I want to get the idea out there. Since I'm getting it finished, I'm going to work on it some more. Hell yeah. That's the thing. I've noticed that whenever you show me like a finished page, I'm like, damn, this has changed a lot and I really like it. So keep up the good work. That is what I'll say to you. Yeah. Okay. I'll move on. Oh, the only thing I can say is thank you. Aw. I've been having major art block recently. Oh, good. I hope we gave you some inspiration here. You're doing a good job. I think you just gotta keep pushing through and keep working on it. Because every time you show me stuff is so good. Okay. So Nat is up next. That's not Nat. There we go. Nat, my friend. Okay. So Nat, looking through your comic, I remember last time when you showed us your stuff, you had really great work with color. And I think, yeah, because Bones and I were saying, like, there's something a little off with some of the visual storytelling. I think part of it was like this page being missing, where I also was confused. I was like, wait, where's that character? Huh? But yeah, so this makes more sense. But yeah, but I feel like you do a lot of your storytelling through your color work. So it was really interesting seeing just like these sketches slash thumbnails. And I think it made me notice something that I maybe didn't see last time because you do such a great work with your color. I found going through this, a lot of your panels are very like straight on. It feels silly with this one displayed where you literally have like top down panel. But I found through a lot of the pages, with the exception of a few more dramatic pages, like where she's like slamming the door shut. And I think there were a couple more where it gets a bit more dramatic. I found for the most part, you have things at this very like straight on. The camera is just like at level with the characters. And you don't do a lot of work with, like you don't necessarily need extreme camera angles, but playing around with like, in scenes where she's like, you know, talking with the bird and the bird's like, oh my god, you're such a disappointment. And she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna fail and all this stuff. Like using the camera to make her seem like small by positioning the camera above her. You can make things more intimidating by placing the camera below them. And just playing around with that a little bit, because you've got like a really great sense of flow. I really like how you compose a lot of your panels. I think you could just really push it with some more fun camera angles to really like push the emotions. Yeah, because I think you've got a good, like, spread of, like, different sizes of panels. I feel like you pace things really well. Like Bones was saying, I also really like the scene where the bird and her are talking. And she's like, I'm not gonna accept the invitation. And then the bird says, like, yes, you will. I thought that fight was really interesting, and I really liked the pacing of the panels with that. So yeah, awesome work there. Hi, Legendary Bubbles. I think, yeah, I think that was my main thing to tell you. Yeah, just push those camera angles, and I'm excited to see how it looks all colored because your color work is so nice. Did you have any other questions, Nat? Oi. It's a great way to enter a stream. Just go, oi. Just wanted to see mostly if the story is understandable. Yeah, definitely. It's good. It's very intriguing. I'm really curious about what's going on, and I think you've got a really strong characterization and, like, conflict going on with the main character. I'm definitely liking the characters in the storyline. I'm so curious about what the heck is up with this dang bird. Hello? So yeah, awesome job. Who would like to go next? We have Marina, who I think is away. I don't think she's here. And Firewind. Wait, she might be here. No, I can't remember. So, Firewind, Marina. Firewind? Okay, you win. Okay, so Firewind. I think I really liked when I was reading through, I think my favorite part was this little, like, fight scene thing that happens here, where I think you like, storyboarded it really. This one panel where this little face does make me laugh. But I really like the way you told this story, where I think you just did a fantastic job with, like, showing the sword and her, and then the swing, and then the top view, the tub's empty, and then her behind, and then he gets grabbed and all this stuff, and she's all intimidating. I thought that was storyboarded really well. I really liked the pacing of it. I liked the shots you used. That one in particular really stood out to me as a good job. I found through the rest of it, I didn't have any major feedback. I found all of it, like, the paneling is really interesting. It all flows really well. I found the only thing I would say, and I think I've told you this before. I would like to see more breathing room on your panels. I find a lot of them, like, I think you're doing a really good job with, like, showing things at different distances. Like, you have a really good use of different angles. I think you use them really well to show emotion. Not necessarily more background, because I think you're doing a good job of showing the background, because I know that's feedback I've given you in the past.
Well, a lot of panels on the page.
Yes.
usually 5 or more.
Oh, okay. Bones noticed. Okay, I'll go into that after. But no, I think you're putting in a good amount of backgrounds. I won't push you to put in more backgrounds. I think what happens is you've got a lot of panels where things are like cropped in really close. Like characters like here on this first page, with the exception of like this establishing shot where you're showing like the person leaving, everything else is very close to the edge of the panel. So like this person's like head is really close to the top. I don't mind there being an overlap where things are being like cut off by the top, but you have a lot of things like touching the edge of the panel, if that makes sense. Even like cropped in close on faces. Yeah, it's hard to describe, but just a lot of the shots are very there's rarely any breathing room. There's no margin around the characters. You're bringing things in, like even though you're using different sizes of like closeness, like you have close-up shots, image shots, and like far away shots, but a lot of them are really like cropped in tight to the subject that's being shown in the panel. And I'd like to see just more empty negative space around them, if that makes sense. It might make some of your like the subjects within each panel, you might have to make them smaller so that you can fit all of the image that you want on the page or in the panel, if that makes sense. But yeah, just more breathing room. It'll give you more room to like add speech bubbles. And I think it'll make things feel a little less claustrophobic here and there. Yeah, and I think it gives you also more room for like blocking and positioning characters when they're not like tucked in really, really close. I'm trying to fit as much as possible without having to take up more room. Yeah, so I think that comes to what Bones was saying, where I didn't notice this, but he mentioned how in reading the script, your pages have like at least 5 panels. And I do notice you put a lot of panels on a page, which isn't bad. You can do that. But that reducing the amount of panels on a page might help you with being able to give things more breathing room. Because it's important to remember when it can help with pacing as well. When you have lots of small panels, it means things are moving very quickly. Whereas if you space things out with like larger panels, it can make things move more slowly. So you might want some pages where you have like 5 or more panels, like, you know, however many you need, but maybe sprinkle in some more pages where you have like 3 panels or 4 panels at the most. I was thinking about breaking up that first page. Totally. Like, don't be afraid to like take things slowly, especially at the beginning when you're like setting up a scene. I end up doing 16 plus panels for action heavy sequences. Totally, because you've got a lot going on. It's going really quickly. Like, it can totally make sense to use like really lots of panels on a page. But yeah, so I think that's it. I think I want to see more breathing room around in your panels, some more margin on everything, and spreading out some of your paneling to more pages. Yeah, true. When you're ramping up a new chapter, then like you want to slow things down and kind of ease people in. But when you're doing like that action scene with the tub, like that's a great place to have lots of little panels to show like if things are moving quickly. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my feedback. Did you have any other questions, Firewind? Anything you'd like me to go over? Ooh. Nope. Awesome. Well, great work. Okay, so finally we have Marina. Okay. Okay, so Marina, my friend. I think uh so I really liked this chapter. It was really fun. It was funny. I really like the seeing more of the relationship between the girl and the main character. Um um yeah, their relationship is really funny. I really like her pushing him into the fight. And you know, he's just way over his head. It was really cute. It was really cute and funny. Um, I liked the interesting world building about like how the dungeons work. And yeah, it's a good fun romp. And I think your pacing also works really well with getting the story across. One thing I was thinking of as I was reading it, I so you know how I was telling uh like Firewind to like slow things down and use like less panels on a page. I feel like you need to add in more panels on a page. This feels very like contradictory to usually what I tell people. But I feel like you do a lot of panels where uh you'll have just one person on a panel talking, and someone will reply, but we don't really see that person when they're replying. You do a lot of like back and forth between panels. I'd like to see honestly more reactions between characters. One place in particular I really wanted to see it was when she's like pushing him to fight like the big monster on the goat, and I forget what he says exactly. He was like, "What are we gonna do? You only have, well, me." Um, After he's tried to like run away and she's like grabbed him. I wanted to see that kind of like, um, him looking frazzled and out of sorts while she's like grabbed him and trying to drag him back, and just show like her frustration building and him being freaked out building. And I think it could just be really funny to show like their reactions to each other and show them grappling with each other. So yeah, so I think I just want more panels showing different things happening. Especially for like a comedy kind of actiony scene like that. I think you need to add in some more panels. But I think where you were like putting like the major beats, I like the panels you chose. I just want more around them. And I think oh, you also asked me about the color. So I like where you're using color in your illustrations, or I like how you're using them for like establishing shots or for major shots of like a big emotion, or like when the new enemies show up. I really like how you're using these like flashes of color. And I think you've got a good general sense of like color use. Like I really like this panel here, the establishing shot of like the forest they go into. Maka? Yeah, so I think you got a good sense of color. There were a couple places where the colors felt kind of off. There's one panel with, I think it's when the big monster shows up with the goat and he's got his axe. And I found like they used a really like cyan blue for the axe color that was really, really bright, and it contrasted and kind of clashed a lot with like the red you used for the monsters. So I'd be careful just to make sure like take a look at like balancing your colors, if that makes sense, like making sure that like how vibrant they are isn't clashing, or like making sure you have good contrast, whether it's like saturation versus like vibrancy, or like light versus dark colors. Just keeping an eye on that and making sure you use contrast to your advantage. But I do like how you're using like very similar color palettes throughout. I noticed like you'll use these kind of like earthy browns and stuff. And then there's also this theme of like really bright red going through it. So that's really interesting. I'd like to see more. Yeah, I'd say just as much as you can, like unifying your color palette will really help you a lot. And yeah, I think that's it. I want to see more reaction shots, more panels of characters together, and just but just look at your colors a little bit more. You're on a good start with the colors. I think they just need to be a couple tweaks here and there. So yeah, Marina, I don't think you're here, but if you have any questions, please feel free to poke me on Discord, and I will happily answer them. So I think that's everyone. I'm like convinced I'm missing someone, but I don't think so.
If it's them, you'll get them on
It-
Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. If we miss you, we'll get you on Saturday. Awesome. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Yeah, if you would like your comic, your script, or your comic pages, or a comic outline, or the start of a novel or something, if you have any story stuff you want to send us, you can sign up on our Patreon. There should be a link down below. And we'll look at your stuff next month, and you can get your very own little critique of your work. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted to the long form stuff this week. I know it can be really nerve-wracking to have your stuff looked at, so thank you for being brave and sending in your stuff. Well, thanks for joining us. Oh, Ballpoint, we're gonna be looking at your stuff on Saturday. So yeah. Hope everyone has a good night or day or evening, afternoon. I don't know where you're at. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you on Saturday for the second half of the stream.